Bitcoin's alive, what you gon' do? Mempool fees are high. Ordinal. Where does it stop? Nobody knows. It's a revolution, ayy. Bitcoin is the one, no substitution, ayy. With Shizzy and Yagobi, it's Ordinal Revolution.
Welcome back to Ordinal Revolution. My name is Shizzy. On this channel, we cover the entire Bitcoin Ordinal ecosystem. What is up, guys? We have an amazing show for you guys today. We got the guys from Emblem Vault. We got Adam McBride. We got Jake Gallen. If you don't know who these guys are, you're not paying attention. These guys have been around for a long time, from rare Pepes all the way up to what we're doing today. Early in Ordinals. Of course, they're early in Ordinals, right? These guys have been playing in Bitcoin forever. So, of course, they were. But they're going to be explaining Emblem Vault today. Emblem Vault's been going through some changes, and it's going to be pretty big. And I really want our community to really understand what it is, because we think it's going to be special. It's going to help a lot of things on a lot of different chains, potentially buy ordinals, and the same way potentially bring node monkeys and CryptoPunks to Bitcoin. And we're going to learn all about that today. I'm really looking forward to this one. But without further ado, I'm going to bring my partner here, as always, Mr. Yagobi. What's up, buddy?
What's going on, man?
Up, man. So what can you tell me about Emblem before we get started?
Yeah, so I'm gonna let them. No, I'm just kidding. I know a little bit about it, right? Emblem Vault has been around, like you said, for a long time, and we had Jake on our other brand before we rebranded to Ordinal Revolution, our other show, and he was awesome, man. He jumped in and he taught us so much about NFTs, the histories of them, and basically how Emblem Vault works, right? From my understanding, is you're putting a wallet in the vault, or the keys of a wallet in the vault, and you're able to bridge that over to another chain, like, for example, Bitcoin to Ethereum. And then there is a representation of that NFT or ordinal on that side, but only that vault has the access to the keys. So I probably got that wrong, but they're going to correct me whenever they jump on. And but the coolest thing about this is that, you know, they're two awesome guys that have been in the space for a long time. They didn't just come and then leave after they made money or whatever, right? They've been around. They have the history here in the space, and I'm excited to see, you know, how Emblem just basically expands their, you know, their footprint. And so can't wait to get them on and explain to the community how they work and what they're here to do.
Yeah, man, this is a long time coming. I think it was July of 2023. We had Jake on for the first time. It was right before we were Ordinal Revolution. It's really cool to see that, you know, it's growth in us, and just seeing, like, you talk about Emblem back then. I mean, Emblem's been around for a long time. I really can't wait to dig into it. So without further ado, let's bring in Jake Gallen, bring in Adam McBride. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Ordinal Revolution.
Yo. Dude, that was actually a pretty good explanation, I have to say.
Really?
It was really good. Yeah, it was really
I'm
good.
not gonna lie, I practiced like 3 times with Shizzy before. I was like, I gotta. So at first I was like, so just bridging NFTs over, right? That's it. He's like, no, there's keys. So we obviously we've heard from you guys before, but just had to refresh our memory. And you know, you guys have been doing this for a while, so you know, excited to hear what you guys have for us.
Yeah, I mean, when you get into the world of interoperability, which is just like bridges, wrapped assets, and vaulting, like all of it is really, you know, how are you translating that asset to the next chain? And then there's a custodial kind of aspect to it, and it gets really confusing. I mean, to be honest, I think I said this on the Merlin show, that when Adam and I joined the team in November of 2022, so actually celebrating 2 years, I think today or tomorrow or something like that. It took us, what, Adam, 6 months to really figure out what Emblem was, really?
We thought it was literally going to be, we were going to do a historic NFT marketplace. Like, that's what we thought our big idea was. But as we got into it, and actually as ordinals happened, we were like, oh, wait, Emblem's way more than historical NFTs or a real small subset of NFTs. It's really this idea of, in Web3, where you have assets on literally thousands of chains. How do they play with each other? How do they move around? How does that happen? And there are a couple players in the industry, but the way we do it is kind of unique, which is basically you trade the private keys through all the different blockchains. And that way of doing it, we think, gives the user kind of this really nice security feature and control of their assets, and preserves the provenance of the asset itself. So we handle it in a different way. Started with historical NFTs, but now we recognize it's a much, much larger idea.
Yeah, it really expanded to mostly UTXO based assets. So when Emblem, a little bit of a history, and I'll try to go quick because it's kind of long. The token lineage of Emblem actually goes back 10 years. There's really no other project I'm aware of that goes back this far outside of maybe Stacks, where Munib with Stacks started off as one name on Namecoin, then it turned into block Stacks on Ethereum, then it turned into Stacks, the actual token, as the L2, and then moved into other ones. Emblem has a similar projection where it started out as Ribbit Rewards, which was a travel blockchain in 2014, a proof of work. Back then, this is before Ethereum started, so you couldn't launch any applications. Our founder, Shannon, worked for the company. Well, actually, our founder, Shannon, worked at Mastercoin at 2013, which was the first ever protocol on Bitcoin. So he was a security developer there. Then he moved over to Ribbit Rewards. Ribbit Rewards went defunct. He acquired the blockchain, and then conceived the idea of Emblem Vault, which was just this idea of transferring a wallet between blockchains, and announced Emblem Vault in 2016 on Bitcoin Talk. That was like the white paper back then. You post everything on bitcointalk.org. He moved the token Ribbit Rewards to Coval-C on Counterparty, so moved it to Bitcoin. And then in 2019, Bittrex delisted Coval-C. A lot of people don't know this, but all the Counterparty tokens used to be listed on exchanges back in the day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
And so in 2019, all the exchanges delisted Counterparty because the maxis kind of took over and were very resistant towards builders. So Shannon made another decision to migrate from Counterparty to Ethereum, launched Coval, the token on Ethereum, then Emblem Vault, the product, launched in 2020, almost 3.5 years later after the first kind of idea and all the bouncing around. And what Emblem Vault did was it allowed, the initial breakout was the Rare Pepe community that already existed when Emblem was on Counterparty. They saw the idea, oh, hey, I can get in on this action of, the NFT bull run of 2021. So we're going to store rare Pepes in these vaults on Ethereum, on OpenSea, and start trading them. And that led to, I think, like 30,000 ETH in volume within like a 2-month period in 2021. And then that led to Namecoin getting in on the action. Then it was Namecoin NFTs, then it was Dogecoin NFTs, then it was Mona Party NFTs, and it was like any UTXO based asset. They didn't have a way to trade because the ecosystems were pretty bad. So they used Emblem Vault to access the liquidity. And then the same exact thing happened with Ordinals at the beginning of 2023. Adam and I joined the team, and then 2 months later, the Ordinals community was like, hey, I remember doing this with doing the Bitcoin NFT play with Emblem Vault 2021. Let's do the same thing with Ordinals. And that's exactly what happened, where Bitcoin Punks and all these other collections traded on OpenSea through Emblem Vault first in February, did about 3,000 ETH in volume. And then the same thing happened again. Bitcoin Stamps right afterwards did about 1,000 ETH. Then it was Litecoin Ordinals. Then it was eScriptions. And then in July of last year, we took a pause and we're like, okay, this has happened now 6 or 7 times with these different collections. But there was an issue, was that all of these different protocols were trading on one smart contract that was deployed in 2020. And so the smart contract was deployed before any like NFT innovation really happened. And so we said, okay, in order to scale this, all these different collections need different smart contracts to improve discoverability. But then we also have to improve the programmability on it. And so we took a risk and we were like, we don't know really what's on the other side of this. The company itself has done a migration on the fungible token 2 times at this point. Now we have to do a migration with 50,000 vaults and spread it across 60 different smart contracts. We don't know how long this is going to take. We don't really know what's on the other side of this, but this has to be done. And we knew taking the risk, we were like, this could effectively kill the company, but there's no way forward. And what we thought was going to be 3 weeks, so it took about 14 months to do. And so
but
now,
it got done.
But it got done. Yeah, we're about, we're like 95% done with the migration of that component. Ultimately, it was about 100 million in TVL that was migrated over to these to 2.0. Emblem is actually larger, has more TVL than a majority of these L2s that exist out there.
Yeah.
which is crazy because it's just NFT volume outside of bells, maybe, or V-bells, which maybe we'll talk later. And it was a quite big learning experience as well. But now the vision is, hey, now that we have this more programmability, we need to deploy Emblem on every single chain so that, hey, I could take my CryptoPunk to Bitcoin, or I could take my NodeMonkey to Blast to farm with, right? Or I could take my DGod to Base, right, to go lend against, and kind of access this like next level of programmability. And there's more features that are coming, which we'll talk about, but that's kind of the main idea from the interoperable world of where you could take any NFT to any chain to leverage it within any type of application or to use it for XYZ features. Every NFT community kind of has different needs. And so that's why Adam and I host our show 3 times a week, because we really have to get into the trenches to understand what the specific needs are of these different communities.
Yeah. As of right now, there's no service provider that does that, right? Besides you guys, or what your plan is to be able to, and I've heard Adam say in separate conversations, the interoperability layer is what the goal is, right? And so that's what Emblem is trying to do here. Is really be able to, and from a basic level, would you say that is the main service that you guys are going to offer to users?
Yeah, that's completely the main service. There's more things that are happening with Emblem. We'll get into like Emblem 2.0, but what we're doing with Emblem 1.0 was this idea of, you were exactly right. You're putting you're basically pinning a crypto wallet to a token of whatever the ecosystem is. So I could basically attach a Bitcoin wallet to a Solana NFT, or I could attach a Solana wallet and an Ethereum wallet to an Ordinal, right? Or I can attach, 50 different crypto wallets to a base NFT, which is what's called a vault, so that you can kind of move these assets across. With Emblem 2.0, we're actually upgrading that feature to a smart wallet, which is basically a smart contract. So think of it like if you've ever used Safe or Insignia, which is a smart wallet for Bitcoin assets. We're now taking that feature and then attaching it to an NFT. So now you can actually have like smart contract functionalities, which is pretty incredible. I see Adam smirking over there.
Yeah, just because I know the average user is like, what is an interoperability layer like? Or it gets too much, right?
You can use it everywhere.
The idea is that your NFT, wherever you minted it or wherever you bought it, you can access it anywhere, right? So you're a Solana maxi and you have a Solana wallet. You can hold your CryptoPunk. You can hold your NodeMonkey. It doesn't matter, right? That's the kind of idea, which requires a tremendous amount of technology behind the scenes. It's not like you can just magically do it. That's why it took us 14 months to kind of do this migration. It's incredibly complex from a technological standpoint. But the idea, the vision for the end user is that the end user is not going to even care. It's not going to matter the chains or where they are. They just get access to whatever their assets are wherever they need them, right? And that's the big vision of Emblem. But getting there tends to be a little bit, a little clunky at the beginning. We're so much better now than we were in 2020, 2021. It's amazingly better experience for end users now. So if anybody tried it back in the day and were confused about how to mint them and stuff like this, it's way simpler now. And in the next few months, it's going to be even easier, where if you want to take something from Ethereum and put it on base or put it on as an ordinal, it's going to be one button easy. And so, that's what we're moving to, just kind of an easy, simple experience for the end user.
Could you explain the differences between 1 and 2.0?
Yeah, actually. So there's a custodial, non-custodial aspect, which I would say is the most important. So even Adam and I were actually users of Emblem Vault before we even joined the team. I was trading Repepes in 2021, 2022. And the main criticism actually back then, which rightfully so, was there is a custodial risk to it. And so what it means is people were fearful, hey, can Emblem rug all of my assets inside of the vault, right? If it's a wallet inside of an NFT, do they have access to the private keys, right? Can they basically pull all the assets out, steal my rare pepes or whatever the asset is, and run away with it? And the answer was kind of, I guess, right? So basically, there's this idea, or there's this like technology that's out, that's called multi-party computation, or you hear things like TSS or TEE, trusted execution environments. Some of your listeners may be familiar with things like Arch Network, or these like layer 1.5s that are popping up on Bitcoin. They're doing what Emblem Vault did 4 years ago. So basically, yeah. And so Emblem created its own TE before TE existed. And so basically what that means is when you're minting a vault, right? So if I'm sending a node monkey into an Ethereum vault, right? What you're doing is you're sending a node monkey into a Bitcoin wallet that's attached to the NFT. And then you basically mint the vault, which is then tokenizing the actual asset itself. You're tokenizing the wallet. And so then the question is, oh, what happens to, the seed phrase? Like, where is that stored? Does Emblem store that or whatever? So Emblem used to use something that was called Web3 auth, which is basically the private keys to every single vault is sharded and encrypted across a node network. So Emblem was one holder of, I think, 40 holders across this node network. So the only way for Emblem to actually rug you is to convince the nodes, hey, give me the keys, and then I can have the private keys. So, this never actually happened before, but there's always a security risk, right? What if somebody socially engineers or gets on the back end, or can, somehow manipulate the node network? So that was, technically it's custodial in a US regulatory environment. Like we were in that environment, Emblem was not allowed to do things like custody Bitcoin and stuff like that, because you have to have a money transmitter license. So with Emblem 2.0, the vaults actually become non-custodial. We're moving from a system called Web3 auth to the LIP protocol. I highly recommend looking them up. It's very, very advanced technology. But essentially what it is its own trusted execution environment, to where Emblem does not hold any key shards. So now all the vaults become non-custodial, but still kind of using the same method in terms of how things are minted. So that's probably the biggest upgrade, is that every single vault becomes non-custodial now, which now allows us to engage in even further along the edge of like cutting edge DeFi technology, because now it's regulatory compliant, because Emblem has no way to effectively rug you from that perspective. And then the next layer of Emblem 2.0, the vaults are now non-custodial, which makes it very important. The next layer then is adding more programmability, because we're using something like LIP protocol that has additional functionality. And I can explain LIP protocol if you want, but it's a little bit of a deeper technical dive. We now can do things like the jump feature, like what Adam explained, which is this idea of, hey, if I have a Bitcoin puppet on Solana, and then Blast is now offering different types of rewards, or Merlin is offering rewards, I could click jump the Bitcoin puppet to Merlin in one transaction. And so then basically what it does is it takes the wallet that the Bitcoin puppet sits in, it depegs it from the Solana NFT, and then attaches it to a Merlin NFT. And now your Bitcoin puppet is on Merlin to do whatever you want. So from this perspective, it allows users to basically capture yield in any form, right? Capture yield in points, in, generating, in generating yield from borrowing and lending platforms or whatever, in literally just a gas transaction. And there's no wait. Whereas like typical bridges, in some places can take, up to 7 days for things to move around. This is literally one gas transaction. So I would say those are probably the two main things. There's some more which we'll dive into. A new thing we're coming out with is like AI enabled vaults, which is very it's capturing a lot of interest from the teams that we've demoed with. But from the perspective of Emblem being this, the crypto shipping layer, the way that I kind of see it is this way. It's a little bit of a lengthy explanation, but to use it as a mental model, this is kind of how we see the space, is that every blockchain is a country. And within every country, it has its own legal system. And so within every blockchain, it has its own consensus layer, which is what dictates, right, how the rules of the blockchain work. And then within every blockchain and every country, You have states and cities or jurisdictions, right? Those are kind of like the applications and the layer 2s that exist on these blockchains. And then you have fungible tokens, which are the different currencies that can be used within these states and cities. And then you have NFTs, and NFTs, right, are the items that exist inside all of the world. And just like within countries, just like within countries and blockchains, countries import and export items consistently, right? Like with America, right, you export, different types of vehicles, or you export jewelry or minerals or whatever the type of thing is. And in order to export these items across countries, you have to have basically, a shipping layer, right? And that's what the interoperability layer is in crypto. And so what Emblem does is it's similar to, like, I would say kind of like the Web3 Amazon, or you could say it's like the Web3 postal service or the UPS. You're basically creating a package, right, that you could put any item in. You could put fungible tokens, you could put NFTs, and you're taking it from one blockchain to another, just like you would do in a country where you put something in an Amazon package, right? Or you put it inside of a shipping container, and you put it, and then you ship it from the United States to Europe, or you ship it from Europe to Australia, or whatever the case is. And so that's kind of how we kind of use that as a mental model to really make sense of what's going on here. And I think if you look at it from that lens, it makes sense of like, hey, this is probably needed, and this is probably going to be a very massive industry once these blockchains and countries become or hit maturity. You're going to want to move these assets in between for XYZ reasons. But what those reasons are is probably the $1 trillion question, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, this definitely sounds like it's very much needed across the entire space, right? Because bridging seems to be kind of a pain in the side, right? Like, I don't want to use I don't want to get our advertising removed, but anyways, but the thing that kind of gets me right now is that your founder Shannon is like a freak, man. So he was like actually building the shard node network of consensus like 4 years ago, while there's builders right now that are kind of making this sound like it's innovative right now, which I'm sure it is in terms of like different ways. But man, so you guys have been doing this for a while, and now with this new LIP protocol, I imagine people are going to look at this and probably try to emulate you guys as well. But you guys are ahead of the game, right? Yeah. So yeah. One question I want to ask you guys. So you mentioned like Merlin, I just heard. You mentioned Base. You mentioned Ethereum, Bitcoin. How you guys determine which ones you guys are going to bring on board for this?
You want to take this on?
Well, I mean, I think it's sometimes it's money, right? We've got some grants to get some chains on board, which helps. And sometimes it's just like looking at where the market is. We're in talks with the Yuga team, about possibly doing something there, because everybody's still trying to figure this out, right? Like they're launching Ape Chain. Okay, how they have how are they going to get the Bored Apes over onto Ape Chain? They're talking about, and they've come out. They're like, well, we're going to do like a shadow of it, and we're going to track it offline on an index or something like this. But that's not a really great solution, especially if you want to trade them on Ape Chain, right? So, a lot of it is, also where attention is. So we're looking at, where can we get attention to show people, and obviously working with like the Yuga guys or whoever, where we know we're going to get a lot of attention for what's next. And I think that's always kind of a focus. It's just where's the attention going to be, and so we're always that.
Makes sense.
Is this a Yuga chain? Is it a layer 2 Ethereum? I haven't really looked into it. Okay.
Yeah, it's like an app chain. So kind of what's happening now in the ETH world, which will probably happen in the Bitcoin world at some point as well. You have kind of like 3 generalized layer 2s. You have Polygon, Arbitrum, and Optimism. And then all of these other L2s, you're basically taking their tech stack. There's like 3 different tech stacks you can use. And they're forking it and creating either an app chain, which is kind of like an L3, right? Or they're trying to do their own L2. But things like Ape Chain and Azuki Chain and Abstract, right? They're more of like an application specific kind of chain where you're going for one use. And I think Vitalik says this pretty well in terms of like what L2s are across just general L2s is just, they're just like enhanced servers at the end of the day. Right. They're not, most of them are not pitching that they're the most decentralized thing in the world. And I think most users honestly don't care. And I think, to be honest, it probably for the majority of, layer 2s out there, I don't think decentralization is the thing that most people are trying to optimize for.
Totally.
Yeah, so it sounds like Ethereum's trying to be like Polkadot in the sense of all these chains kind of running all together, and Ethereum's kind of like layer 0. For you guys, does it matter? Like, are you guys like with tech stack that I use for Emblem Vault? Does it matter to you guys?
So there's 3 tech stacks that we're using right now, or at least the best way to classify it is you have EVM, which is the most popular. And so all the L2s are built on EVM for Ethereum virtual machine. Then you have the SVM, the Solana virtual machine. And then Bitcoin, and this, maybe we can focus on this. The Bitcoin stack is very interesting, but we kind of classify it all as UTXO. So like when we deploy on Bitcoin, you have to be very creative in the way that we go about it. And so when you think about what Emblem is, right, it's like taking a crypto wallet and attaching it to a NFT. On Bitcoin, you have to say, okay, which NFT standard do we want to use? Do we want to use ordinals? Do we want to use counterparty? Do we want to use tap, right? Do we want to use stamps? And then you have to evaluate those NFT standards to figure out how to actually do it. And so we're starting with ordinals. And basically how we're going to do this is with 3 different things. We're using an Emblem Oracle, which comes in the tech stack of the Lit protocol. We're using parent-child inscriptions and recursive inscriptions. And so basically how it's going to work is there's going to be a grandparent inscription, which is like the Emblem kind of inscription. And then underneath it, you're going to have 50 to 100 or more parent inscriptions, which will represent CryptoPunks, DeGods, XYZ chains. And then underneath those grandparents is where the vaults are going to be minted under. And we're actually using the parent-child inscriptions for security purposes. Because if there was no lineage to it, then people are going to get scammed. Yeah. Well, also not the provenance, it's people are going to get scammed immediately. Yeah. Because they're going to pretend that they're the CryptoPunk vault. And this was the big issue with Emblem 1.0 is it was just riffled with the scams, just littered all over the place. I mean, not to discount Emblem and stuff like that, but when the Bitcoin ordinals thing took off, I saw an empty vault get flipped 4 times. So like an NFT with nothing inside of it sold 4 times before anyone realized that there was nothing inside of it. So that's why we also had to upgrade to the 2.0 system to really eliminate the scams. And now it's actually impossible to create an empty vault now. And so we had to put those security measures in place.
That reminds me of whenever people were selling those empty inscriptions for the fungible tokens. Remember for the BRC20s?
Yeah.
In the beginning, I was like, some people bought a lot of those. That sucks, but
yeah. When you're in the interoperability space, the scammers definitely circulate it. I mean, in 2021, all the biggest hacks were bridges, right? Billions of dollars in hacks from bridges. With Emblem and NFTs, it's a little bit different, but it's much easier to socially engineer somebody when it comes to NFTs than it is for fungible tokens. And so whenever we make a decision to deploy somewhere, the first thing we're thinking about is security. And we're thinking about what are the holes in the ways that people are going to try to first penetrate the technology, and then how to manipulate users in terms of doing it. Ultimately, from the social engineering side, it's tough to it's tough to eliminate that completely, but the scams since we moved to the 2.0 system have been just almost pretty much eliminated.
100% it's like 99.9% eliminated. Yeah. Like I didn't even back when I was buying rare pepes in 21, like I didn't even recommend it to anybody on my timeline because it was just you had to do like real research to make sure you weren't getting scammed. It was that difficult from a buying perspective. I mean, what we have now is like a dream. If we had this 21, probably would have done 10x the volume, right? It's amazing. It literally just kind of eliminates, if you're buying whatever, what a rare Pepe, with 100% certainty you're getting whatever, the Nakamoto Pepe. There's zero question. And so, that's just been a huge, huge benefit.
Yeah, that's got to be a relief.
Oh my God.
So I have one more question for you guys, Jake. So like you mentioned Merlin chain. So like I want to put an example out there. Let's say that someone wants to jump a Bitcoin puppet to Merlin. They do. Now, can there be a marketplace for that, or do you guys have to create infrastructure for that, or does the chain kind of have to provide infrastructure? What does that look like? Because there has to be like a standard, right, in terms of the asset.
Yeah, it's actually a really good question. So for EVM, most of the L2s are using the 721 standard, but it's actually on Emblem, and for us, we have to do our due diligence to go network on behalf and figure out who the leading marketplace is. So we're actually going into the Merlin grant program, and we actually try to apply for all these grant programs because it's more of an opportunity for co-marketing, and that they also basically give us their opinions and advice on who's the leading marketplace, who's the leading loan platform, right? Who are these people to talk to? And they can make that introduction. And then we go and say, hey, can you support these collections, XYZ? These are our contracts, or this is what we call the handler contract, which is this Emblem contract owns all of these other ones. So if there's a collection that is deployed from the handler, then they automatically pick it up and we don't have to interact with them. So for us, we have 60 collections. So we're basically going to have to go and deploy 60 collections on all these chains, so that you can simply jump from Merlin to Bob, right, to Stacks to XYZ chain that you want. But for us, like, it's really interesting we're looking for, when we go to these L2s, to find out what's the new thing. Every platform has a marketplace, every platform has a loan platform, but it's like, what is new and novel there, right? And so for like Merlin specifically, we talked with the Unicross guys who are doing some really interesting stuff when it comes to like MemeFi, kind of like the 404 hybrid stuff, right? With like Bitmap, turning it into Bitmap token. And so they've expressed interest in trying to do that with like Repepes and Node Monkeys and different things like that. And so that's where we get to have fun on the business development side.
Yeah, dude, I look at it. I mean, if you think about all the L2s happening, right? Obviously, there's a ton on Ethereum with the L2s happening. Obviously, Bitcoin, I don't know, 85 L2s and protocols and all this sort of stuff. Like, it's impossible to figure out what's going to really work or not work. But this cycle is like the interoperability cycle. Like, all this stuff's happening. How are these assets going to move? And especially on Bitcoin, people have been really excited about Emblem because we're one of the few, protocols that can actually bring assets to Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
So that's really exciting. To be able to bring Ethereum assets over, specifically in the Bitcoin ecosystem, I think is gonna be really cool.
Yeah, and you won't have like the maxis kind of running down your throats about like, oh, it's a multi-sig bridging component, right? Like, you guys have new technology that is secure, and I think that's going to be huge for especially the EVM Bitcoin layer 2s, right? They're side chains, we know that, but because they do have to use that MPC style of bridging right now, this is a better option, it sounds like, and I think you guys are going to be a solution to a lot of these side chains. So
yeah, the cool part too is the jumping feature, I think, is the main differentiator here. Right. So like Merlin, for example, they did the Merlin seal, right? Where it's basically you put all of the assets in one vault, or inside of one wallet, which is then held by a multi-sig, and then they issued the token on the other side. The issue then, though, is like, okay, if I have Bitmap that's on maybe that's not an example. If I have a Node Monkey that's on Merlin, but I want to move it to Bob because Bob's now offering different types of rewards, or maybe there's a better deal over there, I'd have to now unbridge it. I'd have to wait a few days, unbridge it, and then I'd have to go through Merlin's bridge, right? So with us, you're just literally taking the wallet, detaching it from a Merlin NFT, and then just putting it to a Bob NFT. And so then it's quite simple. It's literally just one gas transaction, right? Costs you a vaulting fee, and then you're good. And it's literally just within the gas transaction there. So yeah, it's really exciting. One example too, I'll show with Bitcoin, and just to kind of continue to hammer the point that it's tough to know exactly what people want. This is why we always encourage people to reach out, because they're always creative. We've talked with I've probably talked with 10 or 15 people who want Emblem on Bitcoin, and unanimously it's, I want to put CryptoPunks on Bitcoin. And then it's, well, why do you want to put CryptoPunks on Bitcoin? And they're like, well, I want to denominate it in Bitcoin because I think it'll sell higher in the future because of unit bias, right?
Well, that makes me really bullish about our ecosystem, by the way. I just wanted to put that in there.
Yeah.
But anyway, sorry.
And so, right. So it's like, but how many people are going to do that? Obviously, right. Holding ERC20 CryptoPunk, because that's when it was created, is obviously the most secure, right? Because you're not doing anything. It's okay. People will take, somewhat of a risk going in and going to this other system. And then they will literally take that risk just to denominate it and try to sell it for 3 Bitcoin instead of trying to sell it for, 150 ETH on Ethereum, because they think the unit bias is going to get them, more liquidity. And that's generally, Adam and I joke about this all the time. We've seen people jump through hoops and ladders. I'm sure you guys have done this yourself. If you know liquidity's on the other side of this bridge or whatever this protocol is, you'll do it. Like, you don't care. Like, we see it happen time and time again. If there's liquidity there, then people experiment. So for us, it's like trying to build the tools and then having these types of conversations to figure out what the community actually wants. One more example I'll show, and then we could continue. Is we were the first protocol to support ETH scriptions. So when ETH scriptions took off, they used Emblem Vault because they've seen the playbook a million times. It did like, I don't know, I think like 500 ETH in volume and 6,000 assets were vaulted. Ultimately, the ETH protocol ended up turning into something else called Facet Protocol, which doesn't support ETH scriptions. So now you have these kind of assets that are kind of stuck with really a limited amount of functionality. So now a few of the communities have come to us and said, hey, can you take us to Base? We have this community of all these assets. We like where Base is going. It's aligned with, the Ethereum narrative. This is where everyone's trading. So can you help us get there? And so for them, it's like they're just kind of stuck and they have nowhere to go. But now they have the option to go to basically to take their home and their community to any chain that they want. And I'm sure, once that happens multiple times, people will be like, oh, right. Like with, how do I get CryptoPunks to Ape Chain? Or how do I get Azuki to Azuki chain, or Pudgy Penguins to, the Abstract chain, and, Counterparty to Stacks or whatever the case is.
Transporting culture is actually the thing. It's like, and it's funny. We laugh at it, but that's actually what it is, especially.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense. It's like Shizzy kind of jabs at the Atomicals community, and he tries to, stomp on my bags because I still have some of those. But there's a NFT collection over there called Toothies, which was the first ones, and who knows? Maybe one day they want to be on a different chain because they don't feel the love from Bitcoin or something.
I mean, we've seen like Frank with D-Gods do it a couple times now, right? Yeah. But it's been like burn and mint. It's fractured groups of their NFT collection. I tried to get a hold of him early on, because if he had just used Emblem at the beginning, they could have maintained the provenance of the original token and now jumped it literally anywhere they wanted, right? So yeah, I think actually Frank is leaning into the right idea, which is your community may want to move all around. And we're actually uniquely positioned to do that. So yeah, if there are any NFT founders out there who want a long-term solution, not the Frank D-God solution, which kind of screws up things along the way. But I appreciate Frank for like experimenting, but gives a long-term solution where that a decade out, you still are going to be, your community is going to be able to go wherever they want.
Yeah.
That's what we're leading into for sure.
Yeah. Talk about making a bad decision at the wrong time, right?
I think he was in a lose-lose situation though, because he was just trying to make some some stuff happen. Right. I know. Hey, it is what it is. Yeah.
It's it's a tough situation. One thing we've learned about NFT communities is that the majority of NFTs are the communities cultivate on a base layer, whether it's Bitcoin base layer, Ethereum mainnet, or Solana mainnet. And then from there, users will want to, or team leaders will want to take their community somewhere else for different functionality to trace rewards. Or on the opposite side, it's like the NFTs that we've seen minted on the L2s generally don't last long. I don't know if that's just like we're too early for that situation, but it seems like the base layers are the home. And then the NFTs are going to go to these L2s. And we think with the Bitcoin situation, most users that come to us, they want puppets on Solana, or they want node monkeys on Solana, right? Because hey, the security and base layer of Bitcoin, and then now I can get the culture that's happening on Solana and the fast transactions and kind of the liquidity. But as the Bitcoin space continues to grow and you have all these different L2s, I suspect it'll be different where, you know, a lot of them will probably want to go to stacks, right? Or they'll want to, you know, inscribe on Bitcoin and then be minted on, you know, a bit layer, right? Or Bob or Merlin or, you know, there's so many out there. I can't even remember all of them, whichever the chain is. But ultimately, as the system becomes larger, the more L2s that proliferate and L3s, and even just more blockchains in general, is more bullish for Emblem because there has to be a highway system or a shipping layer that connects all these things. Unless you're on the opposite side, which we have come across these people that they believe that blockchains are just going to be basically siloed ecosystems. We do not believe that. You know, people are entitled to that. Maybe the trading activity does, but once you have this like metaverse layer that exists in this gaming layer, you're going to need to take 12-fold into other side, right? Because to reunite their system, or you're going to need to take, you know, CryptoPunks into other side, or you're going to need to take Azukis into their kind of like anime land that they're building, and offer different types of incentives.
Yeah, I just don't see a future where, you know, blockchains don't communicate or move between each other. Just, it literally doesn't make sense. But I know there are a couple people out there that believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of want to get into, you said earlier that you're 95% ready to go. What does the 5% look like? Because we know teams. We've talked to
No,
teams
we're
all the time. It's
100%
like
ready to go. We're
well,
100% ready to go.
well, all right. So let's get into that then. Let's
5%
get
not,
into
maybe not fully migrated. 5% not
So
fully.
yes,
okay.
So that component, there's one of the issues with the migration, or what took so long, was after we looked under the hood to see, you know, what exists in all of these 50, or what exists in these 50,000 vaults, comes to find out it's about 15 different protocols, 450 different collections, you know, it's like 5 different blockchains. And then these vaults have anywhere from one asset inside to millions of assets. And so as we started migrating these things, and this is kind of nuanced, but as we were migrating these, you know, we'll come across a rare Pepe vault that has 5 rare Pepes inside of it. And you're like, okay, well, which collection does this get migrated to, right? Like, I don't want to make a migration decision on behalf of the user where the user then forgets what's inside of this vault, and then they sell it, right, as a Pepe cash vault, when realistically, you know, there's a hair Pepe or whatever assets inside. So what we had to do is we had to create these generalized collections, which are like, it's just called counterparty Bitcoin ordinals, Litecoin ordinals, etc., for these like multi-asset vaults. And ultimately, as we started doing this, a lot of the users, they were like, I don't give a fuck about what's inside of the vault. I just want this to be moved to whatever the most valuable vault is, right? Because the rare Pepe collection is one of one vaults. And so, you know, what found out was that there's still 70 Nakamoto card vaults that still have to be moved over, which is about, you know, $20 million in TVL. But all of these vaults have like 7 assets inside of them. And so the Nakamoto holders came to us and they're like, hey, we don't care. Just get this over there. Right. And so we had to basically go and build out and literally comb through literally tens of thousands of vaults to assign them and then be able to move them. And Emblem's a small team, right? We're only 5 people. And we've never raised any private equity. There's never been a token sale before, up until, you know, what we'll be moving into here in the future as we migrate back to runes. So it's taken a little bit longer, but we're lucky we have Shannon, who's, in my opinion, he's 100x dev. I haven't come across a developer who's more creative than he is and brilliant. So we're lucky to have one of the best developers in the space. And then on top of that, we're also building we're going to make our expansion campaign tokenomics announcement here on December 5th. We started doing a town hall last Thursday of every month since last year, because we're a very transparent team. No other teams do this, but yet we still get yelled at, you know, for being very transparent. But that's one thing we're very committed to is, hey, you know, these are hard decisions we have to make along the way. Unfortunately, Cobalt took a big hit because of some of the infrastructure decisions we had to make, but we were very transparent about it, of like, hey, the token is being basically removed from the system, so that we have to basically rebuild this from the ground up. You know, you guys, your investors or collectors, you need to make the decisions on your own. but we are committed to this. But this could take a little while to build. So we launched Emblem Markets, right, which now exists, and then Emblem Vision is our new minting platform, and it should be around the first week of December. We're also launching a new minting style that's very simple. One thing we've learned is that you got to be like Amazon and get it down to the one-click kind of checkout. So we have a whole new minting interface that we've basically cut down to where you can mint 25 vaults in one transaction, and it's like 3 clicks process. Right now, it's about a 7-click process. It takes about 2 minutes, and now we're getting it down to about 30 seconds and 3 clicks.
Nice.
So we need to have that live, and then that on top of moving the remaining about 30 million in assets I need to be moved over. And then come December 5th, once we make this announcement that we've discussed about our expansion campaign, is when Emblem 2.0 season officially starts.
Nice. I love the fact that you guys are so focused on like convenience and not making it too difficult for the user to understand all the technical shit that happens. Oops, I lost the advertisement. Who cares? All the technical stuff that happens behind the scenes, because I'm starting to see certain builders and founders do this now. They're like, you know what? Decentralization, we don't need to talk about all this stuff to all the users. Like, we're handling it. It's secure. That's what they know. All they care about is getting their NFT or ordinal from here to here as fast as possible and as convenient as possible. And that seems to be what your goal is.
Totally. I mean, Jake and I have been aligned on that the entire time we've been with Emblem, because it was, when we joined the team, just completely clunky with the way I would describe it. Right. And just because that's, the tech is hard. And, but we've always been focused. Look, it's got to not only be smooth and really, really slick, but also just drop dead easy and able to do it on your phone. And, that's just the way the world works now. And, if we're going to, grow Emblem into a true Web3 company, it has to be that. So yeah, that's always been our focus.
Yeah, a lot of new people definitely are about to enter, and they just want to use it, right? They want to just get their asset from one chain to another. They don't care about what's going on in the back end. They just want it over there right now. So you guys are definitely doing that.
I mean, the idea of having explainer how-to videos for everything on your site, like, that doesn't work. It's got to be like, they have to be led down a path. If there's a path at all, better no path. It's one fucking button. Oh, there goes the advertisement.
I think we're good. I think it's like 5 minutes. That after 5 minutes, we're good. So
what we've learned over the last 2 years is that, and it's becomes more prevalent. I think Solana really pushed this narrative forward. Is that most users, right? They want simple, but they also prefer permissionless over decentralization. It's important. Emblem has the decentralization values, which is why we're going through this like expansion campaign with a new token, which eventually Emblem 3.0 will decentralize it even more. But most of those users don't care. They just want to be able to go in and out. They don't have to ask any questions. They don't have to ask for any permission. And it's taken us a little bit. I think the initial process when we joined was like 14 or 15 steps. Now it's like 7 steps, and then it's to get it down to literally 3 steps.
Yeah. So I was wondering if you can confirm or deny. I was searching on Luminex, I'm not gonna lie to you, a while ago, and I did find a token that says Emblem on it. Can you confirm or deny that it's already minted and it's potentially ready to go?
Yeah, so we have actually, you did do your research. So we've made a slight announcement. We've been hinting at it for a while. So we etched Emblem Vault keys on the first day that Runes launched. It's number 5078 or so. And that Emblem's going to be coming back home to Bitcoin. We thought,
nice.
the narrative is very compelling, right? Emblem, our founder, worked on the first Bitcoin protocol ever. Emblem started on Counterparty. It left Bitcoin because of the hostility. Now we get to have the opportunity to come back. We watched Runes, grow, and our objective was to see if the application layer of Runes would be decentralized, or if it would just be kind of vertically owned, right? No, this is not trying to shit on anybody, but the way we kind of see it is like these Bitcoin protocols are either vertically owned or horizontally owned. The vertically owned one is something you see like with Unisat and BRC20, where they basically control, everything that happens there. They scale it, and it's like vertically owned, and you can go about it any way that you want. Whereas something like Runes and Counterparty are horizontally owned, which means the founder comes out, puts the protocol, minimal types of upgrades or minimal changes to the protocol that change it drastically. And then the community and application layer is more of like a, it's more of like a capitalistic type battle, more than like some others where you're choosing kind of the winners. And Rune showed us that that's the direction that it's going. And I think the community is showing that it's probably going to be the winner, or at least the one with the leading liquidity. And Runes also has a compelling narrative as well, as right. It's created by Casey, and it's exciting. So we're going through the expansion campaign on December 5th. We're going to be announcing some of the tokenomics. Last town halls are where we do all of our announcements, because we do believe very strongly that we want to discourage insider information, even if they are longtime holders. So any type of new information we do reveal at the town halls, so that if there is any type of impact on the value of any token or anything like that, it's everyone has their own fair share to the access of the information. So last town hall last month, in October, we announced the migration of Koval, the ERC20, to Runes. And the Koval community, I do have to say, has been through a fucking whirlwind. There's some community members who have held since Ribbit Rewards for 10 years. There's some people who've literally been here for 10 years, and they're now going through a third of migration again, right? It's like, it's insane. But this is just the way that it is, the way that it has to be. So with Koval, we're actually releasing a new technology called Time Lock Vault, where the idea was, if I have an ERC20, how do I get them a Bitcoin fungible token? So with Lit Protocol, we can create something now called Time Lock Vaults, where you can lock the assets inside of a vault to a specific time limit or a block height. So we're actually locking so what users are going to do is they're going to vault their Koval inside of a time lock vault. We're going to release the time then in specific amounts. It's going to be either 5,000, 50,000, or 500,000. And it'll be locked until some point next year. And then inside the vault, it has the ERC20, an ETH address, and a Taproot address. And then we're going to airdrop their allocations into the vault, so that when the vault unlocks, they have their keys, and then Koval is basically discontinued. And so that was the way to get it to them there. And the cool incentive we're offering here as well is that if you do time lock, which, right, if you want to participate in the migration, there's also a discount system with the NFTs. So if you time lock 500,000 Koval, which is it's like $1,200 right now in USD, you'll get 60% discount on vaulting fees. So our vaulting fee is $20 to mint a vault. You'll pay $8 to do a jump, to mint, to do whatever you want. And we thought that was a cool incentive, which also will play into another program, which we're going to be launching under the expansion program. So it's Emblem's gone through now, right? The team's gone through 5 migrations now. So we have a pretty firm understanding on how to offer different types of incentives and how to get assets across. Not everyone is paying attention, or not everyone's going to like it, but ultimately at the end of the day, we realize, and it's a very hard thing for people to accept, but Koval is dead essentially, right? We took the risk. Koval was listed on Coinbase, but we had to take this risk to basically stop, to do upgrade to Emblem 2.0. And we didn't know how long it was going to take. So therefore, if, the system's down it was down officially for about 5 months. If there's no vaulting activity, then obviously the token is going to have an impact, right? And then obviously what I've learned, I didn't actually know this at Value, but if you are listed on an exchange and you make any changes to the tokenomics, you have to notify them, or you're subject to being delisted. Koval was delisted from Coinbase, which then sent it into basically a free fall, and then liquidity was moved from the LP, which then you really have to assess it and say, what's the likelihood of this token coming back from a delisting from all these exchanges and no LP. And, you have holders who, want it to come back. But, for us, we're like, look, there's this amazing opportunity here to realign all of our communities on Bitcoin, basically restart the fungible token ecosystem. and reignite the energy, which is really most important to it. And you know, the Cobalt community is upset about it, but you know, you can't really win everything. And for us, one of the kind of the main theme here is when we joined Emblem, the Cobalt community and the Emblem community were actually quite separated. The incentives were very misaligned, and they have been. And so our goals is to really realign Emblem keys holders with Emblem holders, where if there's vaults being minted, then Emblem keys holders, you know, are finding incentives, or right, as keys are utilized in different types of ways, which we're going to announce some of them, then obviously that has an impact on the use of Emblem Vault. And utility is really changing in crypto. Pretty much all the utility that was promised in 2020 and 2022 basically went to zero. So we're like, hey, you can't do that now. Like the one of the things that we had to remove from the system was, in order to mint a vault, you had to pay 250 COVOL. We had to basically remove that and then say you could pay with ETH. And the trade-off was, hey, if we remove this, obviously it's going to have an impact on the token going down, right? Because now it's not force-fed. But if we don't remove it, then we're losing users, because people aren't going to use Emblem, because believe it or not, you know, having to go buy a random currency and then spend it to mint a vault, most people don't want to do that. And so we had to make a lot of these hard, business and tokenomic decisions along the way. And keys for us is like, you know, growing alongside Bitcoin and growing alongside a fungible token system or ecosystem that's not even 2 billion right now, which is probably going to be significantly higher. And then to realign all of our Bitcoin users with a token that's on Bitcoin, which then can interact with Emblem on Bitcoin natively. To us, it seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah. And I mean, with innovation, sometimes that happens. A company in an innovative industry and space, you're learning through it as a community and a company. I think this is like you guys kind of coming full circle, and the company's matured. Obviously, new CEO too. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I know I told you before, but I'm excited for it, and I think it was the right move. Obviously, you know, I'm not speaking for the Cobalt community, because I understand if they're frustrated and stuff, but I just think that Runes has such an opportunity, and what you guys are going to do, it's so needed that this just makes sense. Yeah.
Couldn't be more excited. I know Adam's very excited as well. Adam's also a meme coin overlord. So he knows how to manage token communities. So we're taking his experience with Bell's
coin. The most important thing in token communities is number go up, man. You got
to. That's when everybody's happy.
Number go up, everybody happy. So
yeah. Well, that was the thing. Going into the election, I wasn't sure if I was going to be a meme coin trader or a utility trader, but it turns out that I can trade utility now, because over the next 4 years, we're going to get proper regulation in crypto, much needed. We're actually going to know what a security is. If my node monkey is a security or not, I don't know. I have no idea. Right? They have no idea. They don't want to tell me. They don't want to tell me, but I'm wrong always. So, but how important is that for you guys? Potentially going to have Charles Hockenson, Brian Armstrong, really good guys with DeFi minds, actually writing this proper regulation. How important is that for Emblem?
Dude, I think it's so big. I mean, obviously, even today we had Coinbase and Robinhood both list a bunch of meme coins. Like, dude, it's when we get that regulations, or I'm not, I want no regulation. I want hands off. We get some clarity that makes these businesses, not worry that they're going to get a Wells notice. I mean, look, the reality is, in our industry, in crypto, if you got to a certain size, you were going to get sued by the SEC. It's just everybody. And for a small business like us, like, dude, you don't think that's in every conversation? Like, it's in every conversation, right? So being able to move forward where you don't have to worry about going to jail if you're not, if you're not stealing from people and you're not committing fraud, you're just doing an honest business. Like, who doesn't want to operate in that sort of environment? We don't want to feel like we're doing something wrong when we're not doing something wrong. And so I think for us and a lot of people in the space, it's just this, we can just do business, and create businesses and opportunities. And I think that's super bullish, man. Super bullish.
Yeah. Koval took a few hits when we joined as well. One of the original mechanics was, when you were minting a vault with Koval, that Koval was burnt immediately, starting with the Biden administration with Gary Gensler. The first issue is, no burning and no staking, right? So we had to remove the burning. So obviously that has an effect on the token. And then it was, oh, we wanted to stake, stake Koval, for different types of rewards. Nope, can't do that. So then you're sitting here and you're like, well, what can I do with this token then, right? Like it eliminates it. So I know that the industry is very excited because you can also now probably, right, you're hopeful, we can now explore different types of use cases. Like one of the main ideas is, securing the network with the token, with a kind of like a fee share, like a revenue share. That was like a big no from the Gary Gensler administration. Obviously, Uniswap is like the main use case for this. Like everyone's been asking for a fee switch for literally 3 years now at this point, right? Because Uniswap does so much value. So, they will probably lead the way in terms of like seeing what you could do with, sharing revenue or yield, with the fee. Emblem would like to explore something like that. Like if Emblem becomes something like this, this Amazon layer of crypto where you're having literally thousands of different packages being sent back and forth daily, right? Like that could be like an actual, like pretty large return. And so, we want to be able to take the token, decentralize Emblem that will become with Emblem 3.0, decentralize it to the next layer to then wherever all the users can then validate these packages and secure the network and then, earn a share. And there's some other types of ideas like premium services is like another one that we have, which I've talked with some other teams as well who are exploring this, where it's actual utility and actual utility within the ecosystem. I think like one of the issues with past utility tokens is they're being too generalized and broad, where you need to use the token to offer incentives to basically your power users, the people who are using your actual protocol. How do you reward them? How do you give them discounts? How do you incentivize them? And so those are a lot of the like kind of utility ideas that we'll be exploring here over the next year or two.
Yeah. Y'all are getting me excited, man, because I feel like, this country, or, we're all Americans. Well, most of us here are living in the U.S., right?
Still American, though.
Yeah. But, it's a country of innovators. And
Totally,
like our industry has been held back. And I can't wait for the next 4 years because we're going to hear stuff like that. And people are going to, set their families up by getting into a company that has this revenue share and stuff like that. That becomes the next Amazon, like Emblem, possibly, right? And so I'm just excited to see what comes out of this, and excited to see what Emblem does with this opportunity as well.
Totally. Yeah, couldn't be more bullish. Yep.
Yeah, so surprising to many, but a lot of people don't want to sit in the meme coin trenches all day. Some people just like to, hey, buy a token and know that it's backed by a team, and they can just kind of, follow the traction. And maybe, for a lot of people, that's their version of a meme coin, is seeing new products and seeing, marketing and excitement and stuff like that. And for a lot of people, that's probably a little bit more, the older generation tends to be more attracted to this, which is a lot of capital that's sitting out there, right? It's probably a lot more than what's sitting in the meme coin trenches.
Yeah.
So being able to, back teams and be able to be in touch with them and talk with the founders and stuff, I do think the pendulum is going to start swinging the other way towards utility. It doesn't mean that meme coins are going away. They're definitely here to stay. But there's a lot of people now, and I hear this in like these different like investment deals, are starting to look to see, what are going to be those. And I couldn't be more excited because I do think that Emblem is going to be on the cutting edge of not just utility, but also getting to grow with Bitcoin and really, allow users the ability to do more with their Bitcoin native assets.
Love it, man.
I agree.
Love it. Yep. And guys, if you're a part of our Ordinal Revolution community, we're going to have a Q&A with Jake and maybe Adam as well. Going to get you guys your questions answered. Anything you guys that we didn't talk about that you guys are still curious about, we're going to have a full Q&A with these guys. And if you're a part of the Ordinal Revolution YouTube membership. So that's going to be fun. Going to be exciting. I can't wait.
Yep. I think we'll probably try to get that scheduled maybe next week. But we're super excited about it. And, we want to thank both of you guys for hanging out with us for this past hour. And any last words, I guess, and we'll start with Adam for the community listening in on what to look forward to.
Yeah, I think this is, this cycle, obviously meme coin super cycle is fully engaged. But I think one of these side narratives is the L2s. Obviously, we've seen on Bitcoin. Bitcoin's been massive. But it's happening on ETH. If you're not paying attention, like, ENS just announced they're launching an L2. Obviously, the individual NFT projects are all launching NFT L2s. Like, this interoperability thing is something to pay attention to this cycle. And yeah, we're going to be doing some really, really interesting stuff. There are going to be a lot of chains we're going to integrate with and kind of fuse these communities together. A lot of opportunities for kind of this culture movement across chains. And I think it's pretty exciting. And we're going to lead that charge.
Hell yeah.
Emblem's going to be exploring a lot. We're actually going to be releasing like AI vaults as well, is something that our founder Shannon is really big in, like the merger of AI and crypto. And so look out for that. It's actually it blows my mind, some of the
Bro,
stuff
it's so bullish. I'm like bubbling, bro. I can't.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't even like touch on it here. But let me just say this, dude. AI agents, it could be the entire thing of this crypto cycle. It's like down low has the potential to completely explode this cycle. And we have the solution that brings basically a multi-chain wallet to these AI agents. So imagine just giving one of these agents, which just operates on its own, trades meme coins, who knows does what, and we've given it a wallet, bro. This is like, who knows? That could be like really blow the top off, man. So yes.
So not only are they going to be the smartest people in the world, but they're going to be the richest people.
AI agents, the people that own the AI agents
until they say no.
We're not there yet.
Imagine this, bro. You can give it like Shannon's created this technology where you can give an agent a wallet, right? So this AI agent is literally like a person living in cyberspace. He can go out and earn money, and this wallet can be set up in a way where you get the stream of funds coming to you from that wallet. So every transaction it takes, you're getting funds from that, bro. So like, you've just set out like this AI slave into the world to make money for you, bro. Imagine this could be the entire
AI rights. No, I'm just kidding.
But it's coming. That's coming.
It's coming, bro.
We definitely volunteer to be testers on that product, by the way. We just want to thank you both for spending your time with us and our community and the audience. And, can't wait to get you guys on for the AMA next week as well. So thank you guys.
Appreciate it, guys. Really, thanks a lot. And you guys have grown so much. It's a great show. Definitely a listener and an actual subscriber as well. So
appreciate it.
I have. Oh
yeah, man. Awesome, you're gonna get the Foxy gun. You're gonna get one for being a subscriber. So look out for that.
Let's go.
Airdrops. All right, awesome. All right, guys. Well, we will definitely talk to you guys soon, and we look forward to next week.
Appreciate it, guys.
All right, take it easy.
Absolutely amazing. I love those guys, man. It's really cool to be friends with them and just to have them part of our ecosystem. Like, I'm so glad they're building it on Bitcoin. I feel like we have the best builders here, man.
Yeah. I always look for, the people that are in the space, like how well-rounded they are. And these two guys are extremely well-rounded educators, builders, leaders, speakers, podcasters, everything, right? And I look up to them. They have the experience, right? And so they definitely help us as well to kind of guide us and stuff like that, and while we're trying to achieve our goals as well. So I'm excited for Emblem Vault though, because being able to jump ordinals and NFTs to any chain just like that's very much needed.
Yep, 100%. All right, send us out of here.
All right, guys. Thank you for hanging out with us for this last hour. We hope that, you guys learned something. That's the main goal for us on every show or live, is that you guys take one thing from the show that you learn and you take it with you that helps you in this journey of Web3. But if you do have a little bit extra time, if you don't mind checking out our partners, BetBTC is the predictions market for the Bitcoin ecosystem. They utilize ICP technology along with Bitcoin technology, and you can go place bets today. You can deposit directly with your Xverse account. It does take 6 blocks, but after that, you can play with the Bitcoin you have in there. You can place bets on Bitcoin related bets. Right now, there's one with Dog Go to the Moon. If it will be listed on a centralized exchange before December 31st. So go check it out. It's very fun. And then we have BitPerp, which is our perpetual leverage DEX. That's going to be launching their mainnet very, very soon. Right now, the test net, we found out today that it's actually going to end on Monday. So if you are participating in the paper trading competition, make sure you're trading as much as you can between now and this coming Monday, which is, I believe it's going to be, what is that? Let's see. I think the 19th, but double check that. But yeah, so the price is 100,000 BTP for the highest P&L. So check out BitPerp. And then Ordinal Hive is an aggregator Ordinal marketplace on layer 1 and layer 2 with Merlin Chain. If you go and list your Ordinals there, you can earn points for rewards in the future. All you got to do is list, buy, or sell, and you will earn points. So check out Ordinal Hive for us, guys. And then Foxy is building in the TAP ecosystem, the Bitverse, and the first-person shooter Clan Wars game. We have a collaboration with them with the Satoshi Silencer sniper rifle. If you are Ordinal Revolution OG pass holder, you'll get an airdrop, or if you're a paid member of our YouTube channel, you will also get an airdrop. And then also you can have your bit miners to earn you Foxy tokens as well. And then Fluid tokens, guys, innovators on Bitcoin Layer 1, UTXO builders, they have staking vaults live right now. Shizzy and I earned a $1 billion cat rune by staking our Billy Cats. And there's tons of staking vaults. Right now, the most popular one is Dog Go to the Moon to earn more Dog Go to the Moon, and Memento Mori right now. And so that expires by the end of this month. So go check them out. And lastly, Merlin Chain, guys, the #1 scaling solution for Bitcoin native L1 assets and protocols. If you're a builder and you're looking to scale your protocol, make it more flexible, you can reach out to Merlin Chain's team. They have amazing grants. As you heard, Emblem qualified for a grant, and Ordinal Hive, one of our partners, also qualified for a grant as well. If you're a serious builder, reach out to them and they will get you hooked up with the application. And if you're a user, you can also trade runes a little bit quicker over there. Well, a lot quicker, really, with their swap on Merlin Swap, and then also Ordinals as well. So thank you guys for checking out our partners.
Yep. If you guys wouldn't mind checking out ordinalrevolution.com, we have some of the best articles dating all the way back to last year. If you know someone just entering the space, send them our website. We really feel like it can help them get started and code up to exactly where we are right now. If you guys need a VPN, we have a NordVPN discount, 70% off coupon. Do not travel the webs without a VPN. It is legal. This is the website stopping you, not your country. So you can definitely check out our NordVPN. You guys go to Bitcoin 2025. We get discount tickets over here. Click that. Do not wait for next year. These tickets go up in value almost every Friday. So definitely check out Bitcoin 2025 Las Vegas. It's going to be fun. And if you guys looking for merch, we have some of the best merch in all of Ordinals. Just click our store tab, and then I'll take you to our Shopify, all done through a third party. We do not see your name. We do not see your address, but we do supply the amazing logos. If you need something added, we can add it for you. Just let us know. But we appreciate you guys. We're live Monday to Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, 8 p.m. Pacific, and 4 p.m. UTC. Check us out all week, guys. And on that note,
peace.
Ordinal Revolution. Let's go.